go.
Good afternoon, it's Jim in beautiful Beaverton, Oregon. Well, today is the day when we start the series where we're going to tell you how to build a bluegill hotel. So, before we get any further into it, I'm going to answer a couple of questions that I know are going to come up, the harder questions. Question number one, how much is it going to cost? Well, I'm going to tell you how much it's going to cost. If you were to take yourself and your wife and go, and maybe a grandson or two, and go somewhere nice like Hawaii or maybe Disney World and spend a week there and spend ever much money you would spend and come back, the money that you have spent, that's how much it's going to cost. Trust me. Anyhow, on to the next question, which is how long is it going to take? Well, if you start now and you make it your passion, you'll have fish swimming in it and something growing in the spring, no question about it, if you're persistent. So we've answered those questions. The final question I think we might get is, what sort of equipment might I need to pull this all off? I'm assuming you're an amateur or a semi-pro, something like that. So I've done my very best, if you come over here, to assemble everything that you will need. So we'll start here. A 6-foot ladder, a little bit bigger ladder. I'm not going to tell you what these are for yet, just trust me, you're going to need them. A standard tool pouch, tape measures, screwdrivers, mini pencils and things like that. Several tape measures, maybe 4 or 5 before I'm losing them all. Regular old Stanley staple gun. You need levels, you need squares. Any kind of levels. What I don't have here that you might add, that I would add if I were doing it again, is a laser level. There's not that much money. I don't have one, but they would be good. Next on the list here, this is Ryobi's, but you're going to need cordless drill, cordless sawzall, and a cordless circular saw or skill saw, whatever you want to call it. These are good ones, at least 18 volt. There are many that would work, but these 3 tools in particular you will use constantly. Roofing hatchet. Gonna need one of those. Let's step on over here. This is a cutoff saw. This is a Craftsman cutoff saw. It belongs to my significant other. It works like a champ, but anyone will do. If you got one with an arm like that, it'll be a lot better. Almost all of your cutting will be done with this. Let's go on over for the first step on here. You're going to need a wheelbarrow, a shovel, a rake, and possibly a pick. You might get by without it depending on what your ground is like. So these are the tools that you're going to need. So assuming you can come up with this and satisfy the money part and the time part, let's go on and we're going to start. The first part of this is the foundation. So if you look at the Bluegill Hotel, it's 10 by 17. You have 4 pier blocks down one side and 4 the other way, so the whole thing sits on 16 pier blocks, which in turn sit on 4x4s, double 4x4s. So that's the basis of it. I'm going to show you how we do this. First of all, let's go to the site. You want a southern exposure. If you put it in a corner, which a lot of people do, you want to be able to walk around at least 2.5 feet all the way around. If you don't, there's no way you're ever going to finish the thing. So basically, this is 2'6". It would be better to have 3 feet actually. Just show right back this way, and we'll go back. There we go. I never walked around this way. So yeah, obviously you can't paint it or do anything to it if you don't have that room. I don't think you can come through there. You gotta have to come back. So this ground is you start out with something that's make it reasonably level. It doesn't have to be perfectly level to start with. Remember, we're going to be under, over this ground and everything. So here's the start. you've got a space like that, and you've made it the right size. Now, this is a pier block. They're kind of heavy, they're real heavy. You're going to need 16 of those, and you're going to need a bunch of these. This is, I would use a 4x6. I didn't do it exactly that way, but that's the way I would do it now. So what you're going to do is you're going to set 16 of these corners, bing, bing, bing. You're going to have 4 runs that are 4 deep. And this is going to set along it, like so. And then at either end, you're going to come by with a 2x6, and you're going to go all along the end, either end, and you've now made a platform out of it. And then you're going to come right down the center between the boards and fit in 2x6, 2x6, 2x6 to make a center thing, and so on and so on. I'm going to come around in just a minute. Let's come along this way, and I'll show you what we do next. This is what we're doing next is what separates this from any other unit that I've ever seen. The floor in here only comes 2/3 of the way over. I'm going to open this up and you can see it all. So in effect, the next thing you do after you've gotten to that step is to put this exterior synthetic decking, completely waterproof and inert, and you're going to go all the way over to the edge and come to here. So your third, these are runners in between that are simply for support. You can put a 2x4 through, so you have one here, one here, one there that are sitting on blocks. So all of this sits on those, all the way over to the edge, and all the way over to the edge in the back, and all the way over to the edge here, first with the decking. When you put this decking down, take a finger, stick it between it. Give yourself a finger between the decking. Why do you do that? The reason you do that is if you spill water, it just disappears. That's why you do that. It's a wonderful thing. Your floor will get wet, but the water will go away. The other reason why we're doing this deck, and the reason why we've brought it up on the 4x6s, is that when you drain your flood and drain beds, you're going to go down with your pipe and under the floorboards and into the sump, which is at the bottom, buried. Another very important feature. So you need, for this, you need to be able to make a 90 and very slightly come downhill. I'm going to shut this so I don't fall in it. Now we'll look at this side. The reason this side is empty, obviously we have a sump here. We put it in sideways because there's more room that way. It didn't fit good the other way. But you could put it any way you wanted. The bigger you get in there, the better, and it should be right down just above ground level so that everything drains into the sump. Now if we come along, the reason we only come 3/4 of the way over, or 2/3, is because each one of these tanks weighs 150, 1,500 pounds for the liquid and another probably 500 or 600 at least for the bricks. So they're way too heavy to really be supported on a deck like this. So anyhow, that's hopefully you'll get an idea how we're going with this, and now you're to the deck portion. These are I'm going to go more into this when we get into tanks. It's all solid concrete block. So anyhow, in conclusion, the way to get through this, if you really want to do it, there's a whole lot of pieces, moving parts. Just concentrate on one little thing at a time. Start with the leveling, onto the bricks, so on and so on. One thing at a time. Finish that thing, then go on to the next. If you try and concentrate on the whole thing, it won't work well. So hopefully on the next one we're going to go on to the next thing. And I should say, I know I've already had the tip of the day, but we'll have another tip of the day. This is by far the hardest and least satisfying portion of the whole job. If you can suck it up and get this part done and get to the deck and set down, the next step, something wonderful is going to come up I look around and you'll be proud of it. But, you know, so you just got to get through this part. We can do this together. I'll see you next time.